We're going to use the Raphael table here for a decompression of the lower lumbar spine. So let's review together the positioning of the patient. We have the head slightly bent, so for our comfort, we have placed those rolls right in our axillary pit on both sides, and we have used the belt to wrap up around just above the ilium, and we want to seal very tight. I'm going to, okay. We have put that bolster here that comes with the table, and that bolster is pretty much done to have the leg bent and flatten the lumbar lordosis. And when you do a decompression, you really want to have a flattened lumbar lordosis. You want to have that in an actual pool. And here we tied up that belt at the bottom end of the pelvic section, and it has to be very tight, and you can see it is tight. So that's pretty much the positioning for that patient. Now we're going to put an actual traction here on that patient very gently, and we're going to select that from the screen, and let's start. And we'll observe that the pelvic section is going to be moved. She's going to be held by the axillary, and it's a very comfortable type of decompression, and we can program every parameter of this decompression. How much it lasts, the amplitude, we can make it incremental, not right away the whole distance, many different factors. We're going to use a decompression with extension of the lumbar. And this protocol is used in specific cases when we want to gap the anterior part of the disc. So quite easy, and we have set up the table here as precedently, but we just selected flexion on the screen. And we're going to have a flexion and at the same time a distraction, a gapping of the anterior part of the disc. It's comfortable. Good. We're going to use another great capacity of that table. We're going to have an axial distraction of our lumbar, and at the same time we're going to bring them in extension. And what it will do, it is going to gap the anterior part of the disc and at the same time stretch it. Very effective, and used in specific conditions that we will not elaborate right now. So let's see that together. So we have here the axial distraction, pure, and then we have the extension, the gapping of the anterior part of the lumbar disc. So both things are done synchronous. That's one of the characteristics of the table, being able to do that in the same time and not in separate function. And flexion again. We have a different anchoring here, and we have the patient's leg straight. So the lumbar lordosis of the patient is still there. We have not flattened the patient's lumbar lordosis, and we have anchored this patient on both feet. We have fixed the top part with axillary roll. In this protocol, the patient's feet have been anchored by straps. And we have two anchorage on the top, the two roll under the axillary, and the pelvis is fixed. So the pelvic section of the table is going to pull the pelvis, and the patient is going to be retained under her arm. Now, the characteristic of that approach here is because our legs are straight, we have kept the lumbar lordosis. So a lot of the traction is going to happen at the changement of the curvature at the thoracolumbar junction. So it's not used on everybody, it's used on specific condition here. And so we have still the lumbar lordosis, and the traction is going to be felt mostly at the thoracolumbar junction. Let's see what happened. pure axial traction using the feet. The characteristic of that approach also, it can relieve some pain at the level of the hip and depend on the patient, but some will love it because it allows them, after a few minutes of treatment, to have a better locomotion, specifically if there is a light coxoarthrosis of the hip.
To jest wyrób medyczny. Używaj go zgodnie z instrukcją używania lub etykietą.